here we are, the lying truth. We got Governor Pritzker. I'm going to play it for you one more time here, and let's listen again to what he has to say.
So I brought with me, just because I thought it would be interesting for you to see, that there are 12 studies that I have right here that show that bars and restaurants are in fact a major spreading location for the virus. It's disconcerting to me that people want to just either lie about it or disbelieve the facts. We've been operating on facts and data and science from the very beginning. We're not making arbitrary decisions. In Region 8, for example.
All right, so they're operating on facts, science, and data. So here's what I did. I listened to Pritzker, and I'm like, man, is there really this science and data out there? I want to read about it. All right, so I did some research, and you could go do some research yourself. If you just Google restaurants and COVID spread, you're going to see a big article that came out about September 11th from our favorite friends at the CDC. You can see this came out September 11th about community and close contact exposures associated with COVID-19. All right, now I'm just going to show you the numbers and how they did this study real quick. Okay, there's a lot of information in here. I'm not going to go through a lot of it, but I think I can get to the point of where they're showing you the evidence. If you read about the articles, you will see that they say you're about twice as likely. All right, and their math is actually close, but I want to show you what that means when we're talking about math. So what they did here is this: you had about 300 people. All right, 154 people here that had COVID, and 160 people that did not have COVID. Now, this group of 314 people came from 11 different healthcare facilities. Okay, so that means it's basically kind of a survey from 11 different healthcare facilities. So as you can see, 300 people, that is not a very large study to call it fact. All right, now let's just look at the numbers, because I'm not saying that you can't get it at a restaurant. That'd be silly to say that. What I'm trying to say is when they're trying to sell us facts, it's important to know what the science actually is. So here, this is the thing about community exposure in the prior 2 weeks. Now remember, this first column is those that had COVID, and this second column is those that didn't have COVID. And it's about even. It's 154 that have it, 160 that didn't, a pretty close number. And when we get down here to the restaurant section, you see that of the 150 people that got it, 63 people had been to a restaurant in the 14 days prior, and 44 people that did not get it had been to a restaurant in the days prior. So most of the people that got it hadn't been to the restaurant. So this is the numbers that they're telling you, shows that you're twice as likely to get it. Now, how you figure that out, it's basically, it's a percent increase kind of a thing. What's the percent? And it's an estimate. And obviously you can see this number is not big enough to do that. Now, that's not the number that I wanted to show you here. What I want to show you is about their data, because they have data on masks. Okay. And there's one other little interesting piece of data before I let's just get right to the masks here. Okay. When we get down to the mask part, the reported use of cloth face covering or masks in the prior 2 weeks. Again, the first column is this column that wears or that has COVID. This is the column that doesn't have COVID. The one thing you notice in the two columns is there's no statistical significant difference between the two columns. This is the data from the CDC that is reporting the facts based on the science. And I am just curious to understand, well, where's the science here on the masks usage? Because according to this little chart here, it doesn't seem to matter if you wear a mask or not. Because 108 of the 150 people that got COVID always wore a mask. And 22 of the people that often wear a mask, they got COVID. So that means 130, right? 130 out of the 150 that got COVID often or always wore a mask. And if you look here, of the ones that didn't get COVID, the same thing applies. It's almost an even number, 141 often or always wear a mask. They didn't get COVID. The numbers are the same. So there's no real evidence here that these reported use of cloth face masks are even working. Now, I'm not saying that they don't work. So then I decided, well, let me find another study from the CDC because that's where we're getting information from. And this study is on the effectiveness of cloth masks. Now, this is from the CDC. All right. A couple of things that they're gonna show you here when we look at it. This is the study of how great a cloth masks work. All right. Um, what they found that rates of infection were higher among those in the cloth mask group than if you were a medical mask and the control group. So let's look at this. In this study in Vietnam, you had a higher rate if you wore a cloth mask than if you weren't wearing a mask. The risk for infection was higher for those wearing cloth masks. They're double layered cotton masks. I mean, this is a bit, again. So I got two studies here that are kind of saying that it's not showing me all this evidence that these masks are going to do anything. Two studies from the CDC. All right. So they say the general public can use masks in two different ways. Also, more research on cloth masks is needed to inform their use as an alternative to surgical mask respirators in the event of a shortage or high demand situations. So perhaps medical masks would work, but what we're doing, we're not wearing medical masks, we're wearing cloth masks. So again, I bring you back to this table here. The reported use of cloth or face coverings, the data is the same. The science that Pritzker's saying is the same. And not only that, this is such limited data. I'd love to find some other data. Now, the one thing you will find in this is if you had previous close contact with a person with known COVID-19. Okay. You could see here 65 people said yes, compared to 23 people that out of the 150 that didn't get it, compared to 136 of the ones that didn't get it said no. So obviously being around somebody that had COVID is going to increase it, according to these numbers, but the mask usage is not. And I to be honest, I haven't looked at a lot of the other questions that they asked. That really stood out to me when we're talking about, the math and the science. We could see here in this area, more people went to the office, more people were in the salon the last 2 weeks, more people went shopping who didn't catch COVID. So it's like all these different things. But this number here, 63 to 44. All right, 63 to 44. I'm not sure how they get that makes you twice as likely. I want to say it's because 44 out of 160 is basically 27%, and 63 out of 150 they get is 42%, and that's nearly twice as likely between the two numbers. I don't know where they're getting twice as likely, but hey, that's what they're telling us here. They're telling us that because Pritzker said, this study, he's got 12 studies. He's got 12 studies from the CDC. And just so I could show you, like, when you do this search, if you want to do this search, studies on COVID and masks, you're going to see a bunch of studies from I'm sorry, I want to do study on COVID in restaurants. This is how I found this information. I wasn't looking for anything for that. Everything is from this article, this September article. All right. Medical Express from September 10th. This medical from September 11th. ABC News from September 12th. You can see MedPage Today. All of this information is coming from the same study that I just shared with you. The same study is telling us the same information. If I pull up the study here, all right, if you're still listening, this is the first time I've looked at this study here. All right. When it comes to catching COVID-19, visiting bars and restaurants is far more dangerous than going shopping, working from an office, or using public transport. Far more dangerous because of the 64 or 62 to 44. I mean, that does not to me be like, oh my God, I don't think that's a crazy number. It's like, all right, a couple extra people got it. It's not like 105 of the people that went to the restaurants that got it. And it doesn't even prove that that's where it came from. That's the ironic thing. And again, how they do it, they approach people who had gone for a test at 11 American hospitals in July, and they filled out a questionnaire. So 300 people filled out a questionnaire, half positive, half negative. And this is the data that's telling us, guess what, guys? Can't do it. Can't go to rest. So 2 days, far more dangerous. Far more dangerous. Look at this. Look at this right here. They realized that participants who tested positive and those who tested negative reported similar mask-wearing behavior and similar levels of exposure in all the settings except bars and restaurants. Similar mask-wearing behavior. The mask-wearing behavior didn't change. And man, those numbers, wow. I just can't believe that they're actually reporting this as science. Approximately twice as likely. And I'm gonna have to figure out this math. I don't know how they're getting this math is twice as likely. I'm not seeing that. So, man, it's frustrating. And then we know Joe Biden, President-elect Joe Biden, man, wear a mask. They work. They're proven to work. Proven to work. Where? Where is the proof? Especially with COVID. And I like this. The general public should be educated about mask use because cloth masks may give users a false sense of protection because of their limited protection against acquiring infection. You taking a mask off is a high-risk process because pathogens may be present on the outer surface of the mask and may result in self-contamination during removal. The masks are giving people a false sense of security. And they have limited protection against acquiring an infection. This is from the CDC. You could look it up yourself. All right, I'm not mad. This isn't my opinion. I'm just reading what the CDC said. This is from October 2020. October 2020. Wow. I didn't even realize this from October 2020, to be honest with you. So that's the lying truth, man. Wear your mask. Wear your mask. Stay safe. And go Joe Biden. You'll have that mask mandate. You'll keep everybody safe because of the science.